accused him of a blatant attempt to seek revenge after she fired him.
Several serious allegations were made against the government, my department and its officials by Henry Staunton, the former chair of the Post Office, over the weekend. These allegations are completely false. It is so disappointing that he's chosen to spread a series of falsehoods, provide made-up anecdotes to journalists and leak discussions held in confidence. All of this merely confirms in my mind that I made the correct decision in dismissing him. Mr. Staunton claimed that when he was first appointed as chair of the Post Office, he was told by a senior civil servant to stall on paying compensation. There is no evidence whatsoever that this is true.
Fiery stuff from Kemi. She went on to say she sacked him last month because he was being investigated for bullying, with Staunton saying it was the first time he had heard the allegations.
Joining us now is former sub-postmaster Tim Brentnall. Thanks for coming on board, Tim. Your thoughts on this rather unseemly row between the Business Secretary, Kemi Badenoch, and the former Post Office chair, Henry Staunton. Staunton says that the government lent on him via some kind of mysterious senior civil servant to say, don't compensate the sub-postmasters too quickly. In fact, deliberately delay it so that we can get past the election and the government won't look too bad. Kemi Badenoch saying that is 10 tonnes of rubbish, just absolutely not true, and that Henry Staunton is lying. So as Alex quite astutely pointed out earlier, they can't both be telling the truth. One of them is lying and one of them isn't. Who's your money on?
Well, from experience, it took us over 10 years to get the Post Office to admit fault with a High Court action against them. My conviction was quashed back in 2021, and I'm still waiting for any kind of redress. So it definitely feels like something is being held up somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what's annoying about all of this is it ends up being a side distraction, doesn't it? And the people who really should be getting on with sorting this out and giving you your money back, getting your justice, are instead having a sort of circular firing competition.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, the argument was between the government and Fujitsu about who should pay for compensation. I'm sure if you spoke to any other ex-sub-postmaster, that's, again, it's a distraction. We need the people with convictions that remain, that they need to be quashed. That legislation still hasn't come through. And compensation for everybody needs to be sorted out very, very quickly, because we're still waiting. It's stuck in this limbo of not knowing when it's going to come.
Try to explain, Tim, why it is, what the excuses you are being given, why it is that these delays are happening, because my understanding was after Mr Bates versus the Post Office hit the ITV screens that suddenly the government was very galvanised, lots of talk about getting you guys compensated, but no ifs, no buts, right away and all that. So what are the delays about now?
Well, yeah, as you just said, lots of talk seems to be the only action that we ever get. People like myself that have had convictions quashed, we are still having to go sort of cap in hand to the Post Office, who are making us try and account and evidence for every loss that we present to them. Some people, this is going back over 20 years. How on earth are we supposed to be expected to provide evidence of things that happened to people over 2 decades ago? Our claims have been put together by the best financial accountants and investigators in the world, or in a country certainly, and every head of loss that we present is still being sort of challenged and micromanaged by the Post Office and their lawyers.
Yeah, I mean, if Mr Staunton's account is true, and a civil servant did say to him, well, look, you've got to sort of slow down on paying the compensation because, well, there's just not enough money in government coffers to do that. It makes me ask the question because, of course, all of us, who know the story, have utmost sympathy with you. But why is it not Fujitsu putting their hands in the pockets when they were meddling with your systems behind the scenes, when they made the faulty systems? Where are they in all of this?
Well, yeah, Fujitsu have some culpability in it. I mean, they made the bad system, and they also provided witnesses in trials when people challenged it to say that the system was robust. But the most important thing to remember, it was the Post Office, a government-owned organisation that chose to prosecute us, demand money back from us under threat of theft charges, and then used public money again to fight Alan Bates and his and our group action in 2019, spending over £100 million of taxpayers' money to try and deny us justice. I mean, we've seen over the weekend as well with I think it was Project Zebra or something like that. They seem to name their projects after animals at the post office. That they knew back in 2014 that the system wasn't robust and have continued to try and deny that.
I'll tell you, Tim, what you need is another ITV drama to galvanise this government, because it took that you lot waited 20 years and then suddenly ITV do a drama about it and the government's all over it like a rash. Now they seem to have faded away again. You need another TV drama, because it seems to be the only thing that sticks a rocket up Rishi's backside. Tim, great to talk to you, and we wish you all the best. Hope to talk to you again very soon. That's Tim Brentnell,
yeah, thank you very much.
Former sub-postmaster. I mean, it is extraordinary. I mean, what was it? Is it a month ago when you couldn't move for members of the government saying they're going to get paid and they're going to get paid right now. Enough of this. This saga is over. And they're not.
Well, I think that's
unbelievable.
That's what makes these allegations by Henry Staunton so crazy. I mean, when you really think about it, if these allegations are true, and we have to remember that Kemi and the whole government have denied these allegations, but if it is true that Henry Staunton was asked to delay these payments to people in order to help the Conservatives to galvanise on the election, that is a very, very major and very, very serious thing, especially when over the past month or so, all we've heard the government come forward and say it's our biggest priority. We're going to get those payments. That's the utmost priority for the government. It's a huge thing.
It's not wholly unbelievable in terms of, the total sum of compensation. It's pretty eye-watering as one figure. And the government have an ambition to cut taxes. They keep banging on about fiscal headroom, which never seems to exist. It's there one minute, gone the next. We're now back in a recession of some format. But then if somehow he manages to prove that this is true, Kemi Badenoch's essentially just lied to Parliament.
Well, this is it as well, and we'll all know that she's definitely one of the front runners to be the next leader of the Conservative Party. So if she has lied to Parliament, that will probably throw that in. I say probably because you never actually know with these things, but you'd assume that would throw her leadership bid into question.
As I said earlier, her performance in Parliament indicates to me that whether or not she is telling the truth, she clearly, in my view, believes that she's telling the truth. You wouldn't do that unless you thought you had right and conscience on your side.
Well, she's a very strong character, is Kemi Badenoch, and that's part of the reason why lots of people want her to be the next leader, right? She's very, she has an opinion, everyone knows about it. She's very kind of no stone left unturned. This is what I think and this is why I think it. And that's what we saw in her statement yesterday. Quite scathing language she was using and very, very angry and pretty dismissive of everything that Henry Staunton said, which is quite unusual in a parliamentary statement. Normally, it's a bit more formal, it's a bit more kind of diplomatic and, kind of calm, whereas you could see she was really, really angry there yesterday.
She doesn't like Henry Staunton, does she?
Definitely doesn't.
It's fascinating stuff, Alicia. Thank you ever so much.